one of the biggest mistakes you are doing, and every single day, subconsciously, you don't even think about it, but you're still acting wrong on it. There's a huge difference on focusing on the end goal and focusing on taking action and focusing on the track that you're on, focusing on the path that you're on, focusing on the strategy and the system instead of the fucking outcome. Because if you only fucking focus on the end goal, I don't know, it might be getting rich, it might be getting that pussy, it might be, I don't know, speaking better. If you only focus on that and you completely forget the kind of work you need to do to get there, then first of all, you're not doing any sort of work. Second of all, you might be doing some work. You might think that you're doing some work, but you're overlooking the small details. You're not focusing on the small details. You're not doing some things that you should be doing. Because I learned this in trading. I know what it is in trading. I became profitable the moment I stopped focusing on the end goal and I focused on getting and implementing and delivering on the strategy and the system that we have. That is the moment when the end goal actually became into real life. If you only think, this is very similar to only thinking and actually doing something physically. Because if you only think, then what kind of fucking future are you going to have with only thinking? So if you only think about asking that girl out, or if you're only thinking about making that business, if you only think and nobody else outside of yourself even knows about your ideas or whatever the fuck you want to do, then how the fuck should this girl even know about you? How the fuck should this business even start with you if you don't do anything for it? And this is why you should fucking forget, the goals and shit like that. Yes, have some goals, have something you are working towards, but that should not be the main thing you think about every single damn day. At least in my opinion. Maybe for a couple of minutes or something like that, just to remind yourself what you're working towards. But overall, the rest of the time, when you're actually doing something, you want to focus on the task at hand, Focus on the strategy, focus on the system, focus on what you're doing to, first of all, give it maximum amount of energy to get the maximum amount of future out of it later on. And second of all, so you would focus on the small details, you would constantly analyze and try to make stuff better. Because once you only focus on the end goal, then you start overlooking the small details and you won't want to optimize, analyze, make shit better because you already think you're doing everything you need to do to get whatever the fuck you need. But once you forget being perfect and once you understand that you are not perfect, and you start to actually try to do stuff better, talk better, go work out, eat better food, wake up at a different time, sleep more. Once you change a couple of aspects in your life, then you can start to realize that focusing on what you're doing, focusing on the path itself is the most powerful thing you can do. And I recently learned this. Not learned this, but I got proof for it, I did the same mistake, to be honest with you guys. I did the fucking same mistake. I focused on the end goal, and that led me to overlook some small details. It led me to make my own human errors. And if I would have kept focusing on the fucking long end goal, then I would have kept making the same mistakes. Because I cannot see those mistakes if I only focus on the end goal. And once I started to focus on the strategy, on the system, and doing what I need to do, then those small mistakes became so visible and I fixed them, and now I'm better. This is just the power of focusing on what you're doing. Focusing on taking action, focusing on actually doing something with your life. Not talking about it, not talking that you're going to ask that bitch out. Fucking ask that bitch out, bro. If you want to do it, then fucking do it. She won't know you. She won't know that you exist if you only think about it in your head. just think what I said, and just think about this. Action over thinking. Always I would prefer action over thinking. And this is very similar to focusing on the end goal, only manifesting about the end goal, when you could be just taking action, when you could be doing and strategizing and analyzing what you're doing, just looking at the small details, what you could improve here or what you could improve there, overall what you could do better. And this will compound yourself for the better future. And then that fucking outcome will come to life without you even thinking about it that much. If you understand this, if you have seen proof for it, go for it. You say about it. Gobi was another perfect example about it. He was only focused on taking action. He was only focused on the strategy, on the system of working out 4 times every single day. He had a clear goal, he set it into his mind. But then after he set the clear goal, he was working on it every single damn day. He was not only thinking about it. He was focusing on the system, the strategy, and the training that required him, that made him possible to get to the level he did, And that was, I guess, one of the best examples in this history. So think about this. Think what you are overlooking. Think what you could analyze, what you could do better. And stop fucking moaning over the fucking end goal. And start moaning over the fucking system and the strategy that will take you there. There's big differences in those two. So get after it. Time to do something.